Welcome to Two Psychics. This is Michael Edley, evidential medium and mystic, discussing all things spiritual.
Hello, I'm Mary Amy of Two Psychics, an intuitive wisdom coach, tapping into your mystical life and sharing messages I receive about you.
Hello. How is everyone? Welcome to Two Psychics. It is a pleasure to be here, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host, Mary Amy. How are you, Mary?
Hi, Michael. Well, that was disappointing because the recording, I kept trying to rewind it and it got caught right in the middle. So I apologize. This is Michael Edley, Evidential Medium. And here we are. It's Two Psychics, episode 59. It's July 15th, 2025. And I'm grateful to be here with you. How have you been, Michael? What's new?
Absolutely. I've been busy running around between music, mediumship, and everything in between. I feel like right now has been the first moment in several days that I've been able to sit down and sit still. And then I have a big event, have a sold out event tomorrow down in South Jersey at the Captain's Inn. We have a big psychic night where a lot of awesome readers and Reiki practitioners get together and we kind of show people what we do. And it's a really, really cool evening.
Yeah, I just last night, well, that's good to hear. You're always just running around doing things. Last night I did a podcast. I was invited as a guest, and there was Justin and then two co-hosts, and they were just asking me questions. I don't know when it's going to air in the next few days. I'm going to post it on our Facebook page, Two Psychics Podcast. Or Two Psychics, is it Two Psychics Podcast? Yeah, Two Psychics.
Yes.
Sometimes it's Two Psychic Show, podcast. And it was so interesting, Michael, because they were asking me all these questions. I said, how am I going to prepare for this? And it was a lot of energies. It was a lot. It was three different people with different energies, and you know how that goes. So I'm not looking at them directly because I'm receiving so much intuitively. And I decided midway through, I said, would you like me to do readings on you? Because I started receiving information. And then I gave each of them a reading. And then we closed the show. It was fun. They asked me an array of questions related to, everything from spirits. They want you to come on the show and do the next one with me, the two of us. And we are being asked to do different podcasts in recent days. But it was fun, and you don't know how you seem until after you watch it. So I'm a little nervous about watching it because I don't know exactly what I was saying because I was really authentic in the moment. So
It's funny that you talk about that because it's only recently that I've been able to watch myself, look back at people that have filmed some of the galleries I've done, some different workshops, classes, readings, podcast episodes. And it was very interesting. It took me a couple of years to actually go back and look at everything. And I think it's good. But I think the one thing is sometimes we can strive for that perfection and it takes us out of the zone. And for me, I am definitely a type A personality. And I'm always, that was one hurdle that I had to get over was trying to make everything perfect, and I think in preparation, sometimes we can almost, you want to be prepared for whatever you're doing. You want to research it and know the information around it. But I think sometimes as like a type A personality, and you're probably very similar. And I think we have a tendency to be overly critical. And sometimes when we're dealing with this metaphysical realm, that's not the area we want to be in. We don't want to overthink it. We don't want that right brain processing and analytical, we have to let go and let God. And I found in doing that, it actually brought me to another level. So I think a lot of people will find they're overly critical, especially artists. I find that a lot with artists, musicians, many creative types that aren't releasing their, they aren't either publishing their material, releasing their songs, releasing their art. It's usually because they're overly critical on themselves and they feel like, wow, this just isn't done. But what I found is when you think you're 85% there, you need to release it, because it's in that releasing of the energy that you truly learn from it. You know, it's not until you do that that you can really navigate it how you need to, and see, you know, what kind of feedback you get. And regardless of how good you think it is, there's always going to be people that love it and people that hate it. And that's just the nature of the human experience, you know. And we can't be everything for everyone. And that's something I think everyone needs to face, that reality. And that's what I tell people: if you think it's 85%, release it and allow that energy to expand and manifest.
Well, okay, so I just looked it up because for some reason keep getting a block. The name of the podcast is Flying Chariots: The Rise. So Dustin is the main host, and Heidi and Kimberly were also there. And
Cool.
I didn't know what was happening. I didn't realize I was the guest. I thought that they were guests too. So I was getting questions, and they were all very different types. And then I said, okay, I'm getting so much. And it's interesting. One of the hosts, Kimberly, had asked me, how do you prepare for a psychic reading? What do you do? Do you meditate? And I say, well, I calmed myself down, and I sit in my bottom and make sure I'm grounded. And then I just let it fly. And so when I did the reading for them, I went like this. I wasn't even facing the camera because I want to just hear their voice. Otherwise, I receive so much. But we'll just see. You know, it's probably going to go up. It's going to be on YouTube, and it'll be fun. And it is what it is. Like you just said, what can you prepare when you don't know what the questions are? And also, if you're preparing, then you're not really giving it from your heart. So I'm just giving it from my heart. I would like to, before Bonnie comes on, so tonight, everyone, we have magnetic energy healer, or my magnetic energy practitioner, I should say, Bonnie Rogers, biomagnetism practitioner and clinical herbalist. And Bonnie's become my friend, and she's helped me, and I've got her magnet treatment. If you want to look back at some of our episodes, Bonnie was on episode 37. Now, tonight, we're going to see a visual. You're going to meet her in person. You just heard her voice last time. And from moving forward, that's what we're doing, because here we are. It's video, and it's also, a podcast where it's just hearing a voice. But before Bonnie comes on in 10 minutes, I wanted to touch on a subject that's not kind of related to her. However, I do believe that people are going through what's called ascension. And what exactly is ascension? And I'm going to give you my take on it, and then Michael can give you more, and he can actually tell more after if we run out of time. So what is ascension? There's a lot of different variables involved in an ascension, and it's a transformation. It's the rising to a higher consciousness through emotional awareness. So it's an awakening. You become awakened. And how do you become awakened? Well, they say we're going to have the great solar flash, and I'll get into that, but it's a process of spiritual awakening, and it happens by raising your vibrational frequency. And you become more open, and you show gratitude and love. Now, so here's some possible scenarios. I don't know if everyone out there has heard about the great solar flash. This is when there'll be this shift, and this light will hit the earth. And there was what's called a solar flash, which was the Carrington event of 1859, and it was a G5 solar storm, and it was the largest geomagnetic solar storm. So the Carrington event was named after astronomer Richard Carrington, which happened September 1st, 1859, and it was seen by humanity, and it was known as a celestial light show. When this happened, see, we didn't have computers back then or cell phones, but the telegraphs went down, and it affected people's lights. And apparently the sky changed all these different colors, purples and reds, and it affected people, and it awakened them. So are we going to have a great solar flash? And this would be a period of peace and unconditional love. So that's a possible way to ascend. You just get it. And or you can have some kind of Kundalini awakening or a spiritual awakening, and that might happen if you have some kind of loss, an epiphany, something changes in your life drastically, and you look at everything and you see it from a different perspective, and you literally awaken, and your mind shifts, and you realize that we're all connected, and you become more about service to others, and you forgive those, and you might go through a spiritual awakening and ascension by having dark night of the soul, which is you are approached by triggers and traumas that you had in your lifetime, and you can't look away. You have to go through them, and you suffer. You definitely suffer through the dark night of the soul, but you look at things from more of a thought perspective rather than an emotional, and you look at it, and with one thought you change your perspective, and you say, oh, okay, so now I have a higher vibrational frequency. Now, ascension symptoms, I'll brief it up because I want Michael to share what he has to say, is going to shift your DNA. And maybe you're going to feel confused, tired, you're going to need more sleep, your preferences for food, you might not no longer want to eat meat. And that's what happened to me going back 5 years ago. I stopped eating pork and beef, and I guess it was 2020. So maybe it was more than 5 years ago, because 2020, I stopped eating chicken and turkey, and now I just eat seafood. So you might shift what you eat. You might not want any processed foods. You might start to get food allergies. Maybe you're going to have some kind of ringing in your ear, a high-pitched ringing, more vivid dreams, lucid dreams. Your sleep patterns shift, and you're going to reevaluate who you are. And you're going to say, oh my gosh, that's not important. Material goods, possessions really don't matter. I'm more about the elements of nature, spirituality, my passions and interests. Maybe you're going to tune into your psychic abilities. And I'm going to put her in the waiting room. Okay, so what's your take on ascension?
Yes, ascension, I do believe awakening in this human existence is part of the process to ascending. I believe when we talk about ascension, I believe it's, we incarnate into this human experience. I truly believe our soul, prior to us coming into this human experience, has a plan. We're all here for a reason at this point in time. Absolutely. And I believe when we incarnate into this human physical world, we forget. So for whatever reason, we tend to forget what our soul's calling was, who we were, and why we're here. And I believe that's why small children tend to be way more tuned in to their psychic abilities and intuition than adults, because they haven't been clouded by the human experience yet. So they're still very close to that soul connection before they incarnated into this human experience. So I think that's kind of the baseline of this. And it's almost as we start to ascend, or we try to ascend, it's an awakening. So whether that awakening is, that dark night of the soul that we experience, whether that's through, heavy loss, losing loved ones and family, losing ourself, our health, or, something in our energetic cycle that we have to kind of go through, find ourselves, and build our way back to who we are. It's almost like we have to reconnect with our soul, and from that soul space, expand that energy. And I do believe that's where we find our calling. That's where we find, the passions and the love of why we're here. And in that, it's a part of growing, serving, giving back, learning and expanding, and trying to almost ascend back to that higher energetic vibration, to where our soul or our higher self, that realm exists. So it's a process. It's almost like we go full circle. And I do believe we can get close to ascend. I mean, think about like the Buddhist monks or the Franciscan monk, like people that are devoted 24/7 their life to just expanding their consciousness and this mind body spirit experience, and they live in that realm. Well, that's not reality for most of us. That's only a small segment of the population. But we can do things in our daily lives to raise our vibration and kind of open and align ourselves to that path of ascension. I do believe ascension is, for me, my explanation would be trying to find the highest and best version of ourselves, the purest version, which unfortunately in this human experience, I don't think anyone is ever going to get 100% to that. I think if we look through history, if we look at ancient history, Jesus, and the stories of Jesus and that alignment, that may have been a spiritual, divine human that incarnated, that was completely ascended in this human world and brought that into this human experience. But for everyone else, I think it's a process we have to go through. And I think when you talk about the dark night of the soul, that is, I think, probably one of the most powerful things anyone can go through. And when we're dealing with debilitating grief, pain, trauma, whatever that may be, the human experience wants us to numb that out, wants us to forget it, wants us to push it down. But the soul has a reason that we're going to experience that. And what I can personally tell you is, in those moments of deep pain, grief, trauma, that's where we can learn so much about ourselves and who we are and how we can handle things. You don't know truly what anyone is capable of till their complete mind, body, spirit limits are pressed, and I think that's one of the ways this human experience allows us to reconnect and find who we are on a soul level.
Yeah, we're waking up when you ascend. You're waking up to, like you said, your real self,
Yeah,
and
and
remembering. And
yeah,
it's maybe you remember your past lives. Maybe you realize you're a star seed, the genuine being that's within you. And
and yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Oh no, not the kind. I think part of the I think a lot of people think, hey, I need to ascend. I need to be there. Well, what people need to understand, it's the journey. It's the journey that matters, and how we handle ourselves through that journey. How we show up, and that's really the truth of the matter.
you're shifting and transforming into the best version of you. I think that's what you said, and I
Absolutely.
agree. And it's funny because when I pick topics, for some reason, I went right to that and I started to deny it. And I said, just do this topic because I think it's relevant to what's going on in the world. People are questioning, and that's a good thing. And when you question and you don't follow the masses and you start to turn inward and you say, okay, let me be an individual and it doesn't matter what's going on out here. Let me just take time to look inward and find all of my genuine qualities so that I can head to my destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And then what ends up happening is you start to connect with everyone else who's doing
Yeah.
it. And that's what I believe this show really is about. It's about helping everyone out there to awaken.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
that's well. Before we get into, that's the thing too. I think before we have that dark night of the soul, or we kind of find ourselves trying to raise our vibration and ascend, we find that awakening. I think humans in general are very self-serving, and that's that ancient, animalistic instinct that we have. And I do believe we overcome and we transcend that. And that's what you were talking about giving back, serving others, connection. So that's part of the process. And the interesting thing is, ascension, there isn't just one aspect to ascension. There's many aspects. And just to kind of segue into tonight, I would say one aspect of awakening and ascending is learning about our body and our health and how ancient cultures were connected to nature, herbs, minerals, the sun, these different things that were natural and holistic that unfortunately our society has gotten away from. And so part of mine and your awakening was discovering all the aspects of holistic healing and herbs and how much that could benefit us without the negative consequences. I mean, if you look at most prescriptions and most of your traditional medical system, I mean, anyone that's on a prescription, they have 5 sheets that go along with that prescription of all the side effects. Or you heard the commercial and may have, and there's a 1,000-sentence word crammed into 5 seconds that tell you about all the side effects. Well, you're not going to see that with herbs. You're not going to see that with holistic medicine. And, pieces of that could be part of the puzzle that open your awakening, see who you truly are, and in that awakening, we find healing, we find growth, and we found the power of our soul.
Yeah, I think that's really one of the reasons why I wanted Bonnie to come back on, because I wanted her to give us a take on her within her expertise, and she's helped me recently, and I thought she's
Well,
really.
we have some cool stuff to talk about too, because you took some alternative
Oh, I
treatment,
don't know if
and
we're gonna
so
talk
did
about
I, and
that.
so did I.
I
And we
know.
can talk. We'll ask her if she wants to talk about that. So
Yes,
it's
yes,
interesting,
yes,
but
yes. Yes, and you, it's, I guess it's something that a lot of people have taken. Okay, so I'm going to bring her on, and as I bring her on, I'm going to give some information about her. Okay, so I'm admitting her. Okay, so Bonnie Rogers is a biomagnetism practitioner and clinical herbalist. So biomagnetism helps you balance your body and helps feel amazing. Think about how acupuncturists place needles in specific places on the body to work on a specific issue. During a session of biomagnetism, Bonnie uses a pair of magnets which are placed on the body to create homeostasis.
Homeostasis.
Homeostasis. The magnets are placed on a specific location on the body to create energy movements which restore balance and allow the body to heal naturally. We are using our body's natural ability to restore balance and allow the body to heal itself of discomfort, soreness, and remove diseases. If you want to contact Bonnie, you can look at her website. Why we're having this episode this evening, it's bonniesherbals.com. Welcome, Bonnie.
what
Hi.
is up, Bonnie? How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We are good. We finally get the audio and the video this
Cool.
time around. Excellent, excellent. Yeah, everything is going well. I'm really curious to talk a little bit about some of the holistic aspects of herbs.
Hmm.
Right now, I think we're in this big shift of people. I don't want to say looking for other areas of healing outside the traditional medical system, but
They are.
I believe lots of people are looking for alternative healing, holistic healing, and stuff that doesn't have the side effects and all that craziness that goes along with them. What is your
So,
take on that?
so what happens is this, is that more and more stuff is coming out slowly on mainstream media about the hazards of a lot of the traditional medicine that we've grown up with, what the doctors tell us, and they're finding a lot of people are saying, this doctor hurt me, this doctor did this to my family member. I need to find an alternative, and they don't know where to look. Because if you're looking on Google or you're looking on something, they are not showing alternative medicine. So if you're in there and somebody knows what to look for, um, they might look for herbs, but they think that they can go into an herbal store or a Whole Foods and they'll tell you what to use. Be careful. Be careful. Like something that people have heard of is echinacea. Okay. Echinacea to use if you're starting to have a virus and stuff like that. And they're going to give you a pill. Guess what? A pill of echinacea doesn't work. And if you just take a dropper of a tincture of echinacea, it won't work. When I put people on echinacea, I put them on the first 2 days, like a teaspoon a few times a day. I mean, I test for all of that, but I'm putting on high doses because that's what needs to work. But not all kind of herbs are that. Some herbs you need to use a drop. So you need to know who to talk to, an herbalist, even most naturopaths. Naturopaths are taught to use supplements. Okay. They're using a pill or they're using something like that. And sometimes people can just use the food or the herbs that they're growing in their garden. It's not about how much money you need to spend. And the problem also is that at least in the area that I live in, people have health insurance and they want to pay their copay, they want to pop a pill, and they're going to be better, they think.
Mm.
But I get those people that have tried that and tried that and tried that, and then they find out about me or they find about an acupuncturist or a chiropractor or whatever, and they go there that route because they're not getting the solution they want. They're not feeling better. They're sluggish, they're run down, whether it's long COVID, whether it's they just have no energy.
Yeah.
and they need, a shift. When I work with people, it's not only that, they're sluggish, their circulation's bad, they've had Lyme forever and they can't figure out how to get rid of it. Those are the people that are coming to me. I mean, and the people, when I work in person, everyone who gets off that table says, "Oh my God, I'm so relaxed."
Mm.
Um, I'd probably say at least 70% of my work is done virtually. Um, and I work with a mannequin to place my magnets on. Um, I test with pendulum, and it works just as well. Those people I don't think get as much of the relaxation as when I'm placing the magnets right on them, because they don't know when I'm doing it. I don't necessarily do it when I could be doing it at 10 o'clock at night.
Mm.
That's when I have time. And but they both work the same. So it's really pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
One of the most amazing things that I was turned on to over the last 2 years, as far as germ prevention, I'm out in the public a lot, exposed, heavy exposure to many people. What I found was I was getting colds more frequently, even though my immune system, I take care of it pretty well. I was turned on to oregano. And what I found was oregano worked fantastically for preventing problems.
But you need to be careful with oregano
Mm.
oil, especially the capsules.
Tell me a little bit about that. What are your thoughts on
What it,
oregano?
it's okay in a situation when you need it. But
Mhm.
don't do it all the time, because what it
Yeah.
does is it destroys the probiotics in your body.
Mm.
Because it gets rid of all bacteria.
Yeah, yeah,
And we need the good bacteria to process our food.
yeah.
So it's okay to use on a sometimes basis, but there are people that do it all the time, and all of a sudden they find that, oh, their digestive system all of a sudden is messed up.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
just
I
knowing
take
the
it
balance.
here. Yes, exactly. And that's what I'll do if I know I'm going to have heavy. Well, I'm not even preemptively taking it. If I feel like there was exposure, or I start feeling a little off, I'll start taking it for 2 or 3 days after. And I find, it's prevented me from becoming ill. So that's been fantastic. One of the other things that I was turned on to was slippery elm. And there was a point where I threw my back out really bad. They wanted to put me on all kinds of crazy stuff. I wouldn't go on any painkillers or anything, so I was taking Advil. Advil's horrible. It was the old, yeah, Bonnie's shaking her head.
Well,
But
because I've had, before I was into alternative medicine, I remember being in Montreal with my husband, and I was in so much pain. We ended up coming home, and I ended up in the hospital. I had some kind of thing with my common bile duct. It collapsed. I had to have surgery because I was taking Motrin for this pain, and
yeah,
it wasn't, it was a back thing. I needed a chiropractor.
yeah, yeah.
And this is years before I knew anything about alternative stuff.
Yeah, yeah, me
But
too. So it was funny. This was, I was taking the Advil, and I started getting pains in my stomach. Well, lo and behold, it started causing a slight ulcer.
mhm.
And literally, several months with the slippery elm, probiotics, doing some more holistic natural protocol, I felt healing, and until the point where stomach pains all completely gone.
I was just talking about
Mm.
slippery elm yesterday with a friend of mine, and she says, "Yeah, I take slippery elm." I said, "In what form? Do you take the tablets that you get at the at the health food store?" She goes, "No, I have the powder." I said, "Good." She says, "I mean, how much am I supposed to take?" And I said, "Take a teaspoon at a time with a little applesauce or yogurt.
Mm.
Don't let it sit there for a long time, because it's going to get so congealed it's going to be worse than pudding. So you just got to like stir it in and eat it."
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's just amazing how much stuff is out there, and how much ancient cultures had known about this, it seems like. And it's almost like our current human, population has just lost that, whether that information was hidden, takeaway. And I know a lot of it, we can go back to the 20s, the 30s, the Rockefellers, and taking over big pharmaceutical and oil, and we can go down that whole rabbit hole.
There's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, the Chinese, the Russian, people in India, in the United States, they all use the same herb for the same thing. Now, remember,
Mhm.
all those years ago, there was no communication.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you sit and you listen really carefully, the universe will tell you. I remember one of my first herbal teachers said to me, the whole class, I want you to find a plant that you don't know, sit down next to it and meditate with it and ask it what it's good for, and then
Mhm.
go look it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's amazing, because people years ago, they just knew things. How did
Yeah.
they know it? Because they listened. They
Mhm.
listened, to whatever you want to call spirit, the guide, you know, what the stuff that you work with.
Yeah.
How do you know this information when you work as a psychic? You're told it, or you
Mhm.
feel it, or you do something, and that's
Yeah.
that same thing how herbal medicine is done.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's amazing. I feel like the dandelions are always calling to me.
That's when I know it's spring.
What now? Tell me. Can you talk a little bit about like dandelion? What are the properties of dandelion, and what
Dandelion,
benefits?
dandelion has three different things because it has the root, it
Mhm.
has the leaves, and it has the flowers. And they're all good for the liver. But
Mhm.
like early in the spring, I'll pick all the flowers, let them dry for like 12 hours, and then put them in a jar of oil. Fill up the jar, and then fill up the jar with oil and stir it so that there's no more air bubbles in it and cap it and leave it for 6 weeks somewhere in a dark area and then strain it. And it is the best oil to use for massages. It's good for women to use on their breasts. It gets rid of little hard um, calcium
Mhm.
pockets. It's a great massage oil. The roots, a tincture, but you use the roots in the fall. So the energy is back in the root.
Mhm.
And the tincture is good for liver cleansing, and it's good for menopausal women, and it's good for so many things. I mean, I have books all around here that have all about dandelion. And the leaf is more about um, I use it in tincture, I use it in a tea, and it's about getting rid of extra water in the body.
Mm.
Um, I use dandelion leaf for kidneys, but I might use dandelion root, but not really for kidneys. I would use it for detoxing.
Okay, so good for detoxing the liver.
Yeah,
Now,
and you can eat the leaves. They're bitter. They're sweeter in the spring. They're more bitter as they've been around.
now I know question a lot of people that are listening, and a lot of people, this may be very new to them.
Hmm.
Someone that's just getting into this doesn't have a good knowledge base, or even someone to really bounce some information off of. What would be, three, four, five? What would be a handful of good ones to start with? I know depending on someone's particular situation and ailment that they're dealing with, but just for overall health and well-being, what would be some things that you
Well,
would
I
recommend?
mean, the things that I start people off with are common plantain. It's in your lawn. It's everywhere. You can look up just image of common plantain. Um, it's not like the plantain you would eat that looks like a banana.
Okay.
It's Yeah, I don't have a picture right in front of me, but everybody will say, "Oh my God, they're all on my lawn. They're around the edges of my driveway. They're everywhere."
Mm.
That's the one I always tell people, especially for parents. You take that and you either make a spit poultice where you take a leaf and you just kind of chew it up a little bit and you stick it on any kind of bee bite or a mosquito bite and it pulls out the venom and it stops the itch immediately.
Mm.
Or you could take it if like my son used to say to me all the time, "Ma, don't put leaves on people at my soccer games." And he's now 34 years old, but if kids would fall and they'd be bleeding, I would take the leaf because it's in every field. So any soccer field I'd be in, it was there. And I would just roll it together like to break the cell walls and stick it on them like a Band-Aid. And literally it stops the bleeding in moments.
How cool is that?
And I mean, dandelions, it's always a good one to use. I mean, elderberry, I teach people how to make elderberry syrup so you don't have to buy expensive elderberry syrup that has crap and white sugar in it.
Mm.
Um, it's pretty easy. I talk to them about echinacea, either making it or where to buy it. Because when you buy echinacea, you want at least there to be at least some of the Echinacea augustifolia, which is doesn't grow around here, like the pretty pink flowers we see around here that are echinacea. I
Mm.
use that a little bit, but I always mix it with the dried root of Echinacea augustifolia because it's more powerful and it grows out west.
Oh, interesting. Now, are there certain things that, like, if someone's going into a health food store, some type of vitamin store, a local shop, because they don't know where to go, are there certain things they should look for, like, and certain things they should stay away from? What's a little
Well,
guidance you can give us?
I like to have people use um overnight infusion. So nettles, red clover, oat straw. Like my mix, my personal mix that I use all the time is red clover, nettles, oat straw, and hawthorn berries. Why I use them, nettles is really good for lots and lots of B vitamins.
Mm.
Um, Works on the kidneys. Oat straw is great for bones. It's good for stress. Puts lots and lots of minerals in the body. Red clover is great for reproductive. It's good for digestion. And hawthorn berries are good for heart health and circulation in the body. And when I make my tinctures from hawthorn, hawthorn trees have big thorns on them, which is just like roses. They're protective.
Mm.
And so I always put a thorn in my tincture when I'm making it. Um, because it's protection, just like nettles has got, if you ever touch nettles, it hurts, it stings, and it's about protection. So you're protecting your body. And I take a cup of this mixture and I put it into a quart mason jar. This is just water. Um, and I leave it there minimum of 8 hours, but usually overnight in boiling water on my counter. And in the morning I strain it, put it in the refrigerator and either heat it up or drink it cold. Like this time of year, I drink it cold.
Mm.
And it's just an overall balancer for the body. Um, a good book to read is it's by Susan Weed, and you spell her name Susun, like Susan,
Mm.
Weed, like the weeds. And I'm sure it's made up, but I don't know. And she has a bunch of books. This is the green book, and I don't know the name of it at the moment. It's not in here. Oh, well, it could be behind that curtain. Uh, got lots of books back there. Uh, and it's just much neater when I have the curtain closed. Well, it's got my files and paper and all the stuff we hide behind things.
Oh, I get it. That's why I'm not in my office today, because it's a disaster and I'm moving things around and reorganizing and
I know I had a pile over there a little while ago. That was my file pile, which is now on the floor.
Okay, so I mean that's a great recommendation, if people can make
Yeah, that's a good book.
a
And the
good
other book
starting point.
the other book I recommend is called The Gift of Healing Herbs.
Mm.
And that was from my first herbal teacher. Her name is Robin Rose Bennett, Bennett. And
Mm.
she's phenomenal. And she actually studied with Susan, one of her first teachers. But it's a great, great book about, she tells stories in it. She tells you how to make things. And it's just a really good book.
And usually, from your experience, how long does it take before someone starts seeing results? Is there, and I mean, I know it varies.
Depends on what they have. If they have a
Yeah.
cold and I'm giving them echinacea, I'm giving them elderberry, giving them yarrow or whatever I need to give them. Um, it could be days. I mean, if I'm dealing with someone that has COPD, it's going to be longer.
Mm.
You
And I
know,
guess each person, and depending on their
each person
body, and yeah.
is very different. What's behind the illness?
Hmm.
That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to do what traditional meds do or put a Band-Aid on something.
Hmm.
I want to get behind it. And I want
Yeah.
to, and I always talk to people about saying, you may, especially with biomag, you may need to have, how many, whether two, maybe I can do it in one time. And I do it all the time in one time. But sometimes it needs to have, say, 10 sessions or whatever we have to say, because It's like an onion. We're peeling the onion.
Yeah.
People tell you that lime hides,
Hmm.
and they don't know, and lime hides. So do so many other pathogens, whether those pathogens are bacteria, virus, molds, parasites, they hide behind something. And then when you irritate them, they move. And
Hmm.
then all of a sudden you've taken these layers and next layer, and all of a sudden when you're testing, and I test with, especially with Biomag, I test with either with my pendulum if I'm working, I'm a lot of times I'm working, look at this, I have magnets attached. I'm using a pendulum when I'm working with remote people, or I'm using their feet to do muscle testing. I'm taking their feet and I'm tapping them together, and I find out what my yeses and nos are. Um, all of a sudden, you they'll come to me and say, I have signs of Lyme, but I can't find it. And all of a sudden, like maybe 3 or 4 times later, it shows up. And then I can really start to treat it.
Hmm.
Because
Well, that's
there's other
interesting.
things that were happening. Maybe there was Epstein-Barr that was showing up.
Hmm.
It's one of those things that are, pathogens that work together with it. And
Yeah.
if you can get rid of a lot of those other things, all of a sudden it shows up and you can get rid of it. Biomagnetism and Lyme work amazing.
Hmm. And I think that's one of the big things. I think people are sick and tired of being sick and tired, but they're done with just the symptoms being treated. People want to know what the underlying root cause is, what's going on. And I think that's one of the biggest issues today. People that are, inundated on pharmaceuticals, have 10 prescriptions, and the doctors want to put them on 5 more. We're just treating and
Right.
masking, we're treating the symptoms and we're
And,
masking the problem.
and there are pathogens that scare people,
Mm,
malaria, um, it was just in my head and it's my head, TB,
mm,
things that freak people out. But I find them in probably 40 to 50% of people. And I got to clear those things up before I can get to the others.
mm.
And so you think about it like malaria, how would I get that? I'm not in South Carolina, South America. Um, because a mosquito bit somebody when they were there. And then another mosquito bit you that had already bitten somebody who had already been affected. And all of a sudden you have a molecule of it. It's not the whole thing. And you're not going to get the symptoms of it. But you might find if you clear it up, all kinds of other symptoms go away because it's behind everything and it's affecting your body. And yeah, and you wouldn't probably find it if you went to the doctor for a blood test. But if I can clear that out and find it when I'm doing my muscle testing, it's amazing. Epstein-Barr is all over the place.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about that because there's been multiple times in readings where I'm with a client, and obviously I'm not a medical doctor, and I have to give that disclaimer that I'm not a medical doctor, but
Mhm.
I'll have things come to me that weren't picked up on a blood test or weren't tested for or completely overlooked. It'll come through in a reading, and I'll say you need to get tested for this, or they need to look into this
But they may
area,
not find
and
them.
sure enough, there it
So
goes, and there it is.
send them to me.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
get rid of them
absolutely, yeah, I
without them
will.
putting them on. They're going to give them another vaccine. They're going to give them pharma that they don't need.
Mm, yeah.
So, because when we're working with biomagnetism, you're taking two magnets, always a positive and a negative magnet.
Mm,
And between these two magnets, we're creating a neutral pH. Pathogens cannot live in a neutral pH. They run away because they need to live in an acidic or an alkaline environments.
mm,
So,
interesting.
so if you take these two, and let's just say, for example, people have RSV, for example. I'm going to put them on the frontal sinuses here, left. I got to go the other way. I would put them on the frontal sinuses. I put them on the eyebrows, and I put them on the maxillary sinus right here. Those three things. And I can clear up people sometimes. Sometimes I'll be putting them on the nose like this.
Mm.
And people will call me up and they'll go, "Oh my God, I was so stuffed up when I saw you," or I did the virtual one, and they'll go, "I can breathe now." That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
So,
didn't give
be,
them any drugs.
so before we get into all the magnetism and about, can you give everyone a little bit of the history, the background, and kind of the premise behind that and the treatment?
Right. So there was a doctor, his name was Dr. Goes, and he's from Mexico. And he was finding that, like, he would try and treat certain things and they wouldn't work. And somehow he figured out that if he put a magnet on somebody and he didn't put the balancing one on, that the legs would shorten like this. And you literally can see it. And then when if he found a matching magnet, all of a sudden the feet would go like this. And when I do personal pairs for people, maybe I'll put something on the heart, and I'm trying to find one for anger. So that's liver and heart. And when I put the other one on, my clients will laugh, like, their husband, their wife, their kids will be there. And I go, look at this, look at their feet. Because first I'm working with them when they're like this. And all of a sudden I put one on and foot just goes like this. It's muscle is,
Mm.
pulling. And then you put the other one on and it just comes right up and it balances. And so he found that he could do that and that illnesses were disappearing. And my teacher was going, he's a medical doctor also. He was going to medical school in Colombia. And I don't know how he met this person, but he started going to his classes in Mexico. And he found that it was working so much better than a lot of the stuff in medical school. Well, he's still a doctor, but he doesn't do anything but biomagnetism.
Mm.
And he I think the story was when he came to the States and he started working, he had this guy come to him with pneumonia, really bad pneumonia, really high fever, and he nothing was working. And the guy was like, "I don't want meds," and he says, "Well, do you have an hour? I'm going to do some magnets on you, see what we can do." And the guy's like, "Do what you can." And he says, "But I'm going to give you pharma to take home with you. I can't tell you to take it, but I can recommend that you do this." So he does this whole session on him. By the time he finished his session, the guy had no fever.
Mm. Wow.
And then he said to him, "Call me in 3 days. Let's see what's going on." 3 days later, the guy called and said, "I didn't take any drugs and I feel fabulous. I can't believe this worked."
Mhm.
And so he ended up starting to do this 100% and not do his physician job, we'll call it. And he started building it up, and that's all he does right now. And it's amazing. I had a clot behind my eye about a year and a half ago, and I couldn't see out of my right eye. It was awful. And I ended up going to this retinal specialist, and she wanted me to do some go down to Mount Sinai Hospital, and they wanted to go up through a vein and pretty much blow it up, but you only had to be within a certain time frame. And I I wasn't within that time frame, so they wanted me to do a CAT scan and take me into the ER. And I'm texting my doctor because they want me to take this medication, and I didn't want to take it. And I said to them, "I'll take the baby aspirin for a few weeks, but I'm not taking this." I don't know what it was called, Plavix or something. And I'm texting him, and he's like, "No Plavix," and I'm like, "Oh," because I was using my two fingers to do muscle testing, and my husband's across the room in the ER and he's laughing because he sees me with my hand down and I'm testing whether I should do any of these things they want me to do. And he told me what magnets to do. He said, "Get into my office as soon as you can." And he had me doing some DMSO and just, you know, stuff. And I never took any pharma. And I went back to the doctor like a month later or whatever it was, 2 weeks a month. And the doctor's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you didn't take any of that stuff." I said, "Yeah, isn't that great?" In fact, I have an appointment tomorrow morning for a follow-up. Um, and it's amazing what you can do. It's
Mm.
I was doing, like, we have eye magnets uh, that have five, you can see, I don't know if you can see, there's like five different magnets in each one.
Oh yeah.
I can actually put them like this and cover this, which is for this whole area. It's called campus lateral, and it's for floaters, and this is helps with the any kind of mucus problems and the eye. They're very cool. They just made these recently. But people go to me, oh my God, they feel so good when they're on them. Yeah, they do. It's very relaxing.
So now with the magnets, are you using like the same meridian grids of the body as like an acupuncturist would use? Is it kind of along those lines,
You know
or?
what? I have a Zoom call that I do for practitioners, and we just have these discussions of all different things. And a friend of mine was saying, yeah, he got these meridian charts, and he'll now at the end of his session, he'll test if he has to put any magnets on the meridians.
Hmm.
And I haven't started playing with that yet, but
Oh, cool.
yeah, and he says like he'll just put a couple of magnets on them, and it's making shifts.
Now, what's funny is I know you had recommended some non-traditional treatment for Mary Amy. She was dealing with some stuff. I don't know if she wants to talk about all that cool stuff,
Well,
but
I wanna definitely validate Bonnie. I don't even remember when that was. I don't know if it was a year ago. How long ago was the treatment that you gave me? And
so Mary Amy, tell us a little bit about what you were experiencing before we get into like the
It was
treatment
right
and what
before
Bonnie had recommended.
it was right before we did the first podcast.
right, which I don't, that was episode 37, so I don't know when it was. Was it a year? It might have been the fall or anyway, had I had been researching alternative practitioners, and I came across Bonnie. Someone I believe recommended you, and we got into a phone conversation, and you set up a session with me, and I went over to her
Yeah,
office.
Pamela had recommended. She lives in
Okay,
Medford.
Pamela Cuccinell, who is a psychic medium, and you lay down on her on the bed, and she first you put your legs over this
A bolster.
a bolster. I don't know all the words, and then she sits over in front where your feet are, and then she goes through, and
Tap,
it
tap, tap,
is
tap.
telepathy because she's not saying the questions out loud. She's
Mm.
saying to my body, and she's holding my legs.
And I'm looking at lists while I'm
Right,
doing
she's looking at lists, and it's about how many questions is it, Bonnie?
a lot.
A lot. It's pages and pages. And she's asking all these questions to my body. What do I have? And she came up with that. And she even asked questions, emotional questions. Didn't you asked my body emotional questions? So you come away with what, four emotions that I have? Three or four emotions.
There was probably for them. There was three or four emotions
And
that I need.
I was surprised. So,
And usually they make no sense to me. And I'll say, you know, they have this or this or this. And usually the first one is the main one, and the other ones all work off of it. And then I do personal pairs, and I look for magnets that I need to place for those emotions.
and she places magnets, and you're laying down, and she places them all over your body, obviously. And I don't know, it might have been sets of what, 50 sets or 40 sets of magnets all over my body, little ones, big ones. And you lay there, and it it releases in through, I guess, through time. I don't know if it in that moment releases it, but it releases it. And then when I got up,
You're moving these pathogens into the bloodstream. You know, it's water. We're making them into water. We're neutralizing it, and you're gonna pee it out all day
right.
long.
Yeah, I did. I did pee out, and then I got very dizzy, and I had to stay for an hour. And she gave me tea and talked to me because it had such an effect on me in a good way.
Mm.
And then everyone around me said, "Oh, I want to go to Bonnie. I want to go to Bonnie. I want to go to Bonnie." And my daughter even goes, "Yo, Bonnie, Bonnie, she's amazing, that Bonnie."
You know,
You are.
it's always very funny. I had a new client maybe a month ago, and he called me up and he said to me, I had heard about Biomag. He's got some Lyme stuff going on, and I found you, and you're right in my town where I work. He says, but the weird thing is, when I looked up your phone number was in my phone book, my cell phone, because a mutual client of ours had told him years ago as an herbalist, and I was in his phone. It was so funny. In fact, I'm waiting for him to call me back for to set up an appointment for next week.
I wanted to ask a question, and it's not related to biomagnetism, and it might be a little vain, this question. But when you were answering Michael about, what are a handful of recommendations you would give, I know this is off the beaten path, but you might have an answer to this. Can you recommend herbs for the skin? Because I'm very sensitive, and I hardly put any lotions on my skin. I don't know if
I
there's.
mean, I make one.
Oh, you do?
I make one. Come up and I'll give you some.
Okay.
It's made with calendula and it's made with fresh aloe, calendula, coconut oil, a little lavender. I think that's it, and water. That's amazing.
Because of everything out in the world, you look at the back and there's 1,000 ingredients, and I don't even know what it is.
Sorry.
I'm scared. I'm scared of, I mean, there's only certain things I'll even use I don't use regular bug spray. I only use this
I
natural.
don't just take a little lavender essential oil and put it in a little spray bottle with water. That's all I use.
Okay. I've been taking notes.
Hmm? You can go on Amazon and you can buy little perfume kind of bottles that look. Do I have any right here? Yeah, like this. Ugh. They look like this.
Okay.
And you can fill it up with water pretty much and put just a few drops of lavender essential oil in it. And
Okay.
it keeps them away.
Okay. Good to know.
Now, I think one of the interesting things that we're starting to hear more and more of that here in the US, we really don't talk about it a lot, but parasitic infestation. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know Mary
I
Amy and I have both, we've both taken a non-traditional treatment. Mine wasn't for necessarily parasites, but I feel a lot better. We'll talk a little bit
what were you doing?
ivermectin.
Mhm.
And
I
I
use
took
it
it,
all the time. I use it all
yeah.
the time. You
And
can also use herbs you can use, black walnut and wormwood, and
yeah, yeah, I took a cup.
they're
So
nasty tasting.
yeah, there were points in the time. So prior to my fully devoting myself to the spiritual aspect of mediumship, psychic stuff, I
Hmm.
was involved in the pet industry pretty extensively for a long period of time.
Hmm.
Dealt with, I was in contact with lots of exotic animals, all different types of animals, and it's interesting because there were some stomach ailments or different things that had crept up here and there, and over the last decade or so, I it's interesting. Like it came up. I've taken black walnut. I took a lot of different cleanses, and I would just
And I
do.
make it from the black walnuts that
Yeah,
drop
yeah.
on my property.
But the interesting thing is, I took ivermectin, several weeks back, and that for the antiviral properties and a number of different things. Try in part of a cleanse, and I was dealing with some symptoms that I couldn't get rid of, and I had a weird cough. So like my wife is very big into holistic medicine and homeopathic stuff, and all your non-traditional aspects of healing. And it's funny because I had no idea that Mary Amy had contacted you and you gave her ivermectin, but I had also taken ivermectin, and I went through like a 2-week run of it, and amazing how much better I felt. So I don't know if I had some underlying viral things going on, parasitic things going on, but literally I almost felt like this fog was lifted and like this clarity came.
People think that only animals have
Yeah,
parasites.
can you talk a little bit about that?
But people think that only animals have parasites. Guess what? We all have parasites.
Mm.
And so I use Biomag for getting rid of parasites. I used to also use ivermectin. Sometimes I use the herbs. It's easier to have somebody take ivermectin because the herbs to do for parasites are really nasty.
Mm.
I use all that nasty stuff, but I've been doing this for 25 years. I remember going to Mexico and bringing wormwood with me because I was nervous about with I took my whole family, and I remember bringing wormwood with me, not the others, and we ate some meal that I wasn't about, and I took little Dixie cups and I put a couple of drops of wormwood in each one with a little water, and I gave them all to them and said, "Take it now," all at the same time, because one took it and they were like, "Ugh," the other ones wouldn't have taken it.
Yeah, and it's amazing. So, and you hear like these stories now that, like pork, tapeworm, very prevalent in pork if pork is even
Yeah.
slightly undercooked.
Trichinosis.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And also sushi, all the amount of parasites that are in fish. And
Mm,
unless it's deep, it goes into a deep freeze that can kill that. If you're eating sushi, you're most likely eating some parasites.
that's right.
Yeah,
I mean,
crazy.
I've done parasite cleanses with
Mm,
chlorine dioxide solution, which I love. I do a lot of work with that.
yeah.
I've done them with other stuff, and you know, you don't want to see what's coming out.
Yeah, yeah.
But you
It's
feel
pretty
so much
amazing.
better once you've done this. And it's not like once you clear them, they're going to be gone forever because we're eating food.
Yeah.
We're seeing other people. We're touching things.
Mm,
And they live here. Well, just like, you go on your deck and there's all these ants walking around and you're like, ooh, but they live here too.
yeah. 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 So I think it's good we're talking about these topics and these subjects because how many people are out there with these undiagnosed ailments, and it could, be a primary cause from a parasitic infection.
That's right. And the farmer won't tell you, the doctors won't
Yeah.
tell you that because they don't want to freak you out. But they'll tell you
Yeah.
you have cancer.
Yeah, and I think the one
And
thing that people need to realize is the pharmaceutical industry, it makes its money, unfortunately, off sick clients, sick
and
people.
and what I've been reading a lot of and listening to is that cancer is really parasites.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah.
There are people like Joe Tibbins' protocol is ivermectin and fenbendazole with some herbs, where he got rid of stage 4 cancer. And
Yeah.
I'm hearing it time and time and time again.
Yeah, I've heard so many stories over the last 2 years, and whether what it was that, pre-post COVID transition and people looking to alternative healing and health or, whatever, there's definitely been an awakening. We
Hmm.
talked about the ascension earlier in this awakening. Well, I think holistic natural healing has been part of that awakening.
Absolutely. And now it's about, the holistic healers, whether they're the psychics like you guys, the Reiki people, the biomag, the herbalists, the acupuncturists, getting out there more. Um, and the problem we have in our society is people are married to their health insurance and they're not covered.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame.
And I have a dream that one day there will be wellness centers where anybody can come, and there'll be a fund from somewhere that can pay the difference between what the person has to pay something. That's consideration is called in legal terms, um, where they could come in and pay $10, but the practitioner will get paid their full amount. So we'll
Mhm.
see. It's just a pie in the sky dream.
Well, the nice thing is the conversations are happening. There's people like us that are all bringing this to the forefront. And the more people that start talking about it, discussing it, learning about it, the more prevalent this is going to be,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
That's
so
that's what we're
important.
that's what we're hoping for. But
Yeah.
and so as practitioners, we know a little bit about this and a little bit of that and a lot about this, and we keep trying to find more things that go together that people can heal from.
Yeah. And that's it. And I think, we're talking from experience. We've seen how, these holistic modalities can heal in our own lives and the people around us and the people we've
Hmm.
worked with. So I think that's why we're so adamant about this and feel that it's so important these discussions are heard.
It's really important. It's really important. I mean, even like I was putting together 4 chairs for outside by the pool and with an Allen wrench. And I
Mm,
I had fallen like months ago and gotten a bone bruise, and it's like takes forever to heal. Doesn't matter what you do, it just takes forever.
mm,
And then I was using the same hand to do the Allen wrench, and I thought I was fine till the next day when I couldn't lift up my coffee cup.
mm,
And I've been putting these on like this and taping them on and going up here also with these just like this.
mm.
And it's made such a difference.
And I think if we can get the conversation going where, there's definitely aspects of traditional medicine, like you break your leg, you definitely want that orthopedic surgeon, that specialist
Absolutely.
to heal you. They have the ability to heal you,
But
but
you also want to do herbal medicine with it so it heals
yeah,
faster.
exactly. So
You
I
want to be
think that's what
taking
people,
comfrey and you want to be doing this all kinds of stuff that,
yeah.
it's, a homeopathy,
Hmm.
um, the knit bone, it's comfrey and you can get it homeopathically and you can just take it and your bones will knit together in half the time.
Yeah, and I think that's what people out there need to understand. We're not saying, totally disregard and don't listen to any of the traditional medical system. But what we're saying is, unfortunately, this system has been built on a profit, now, and it's about sick people keeping the profit centers running. So I think we need to start uncovering that. I think we need to start getting to the truth. We need to start looking beyond the symptoms and just the treatment of symptoms and find the root causes. And I do believe it's people like you, people like us that are speaking about this that going
Absolutely.
to bring the truth out.
Absolutely. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah, it just it gets me fired up. It gets me fired up when we have these
I think all of
conversations.
us have the same thing going.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, how do we get people to not, my friends will call me up and they'll say, "Did you hear I was in the hospital?" I'm like, "No, you didn't tell me. Why were you in the hospital?" And there's a friend of mine, and she's like, "Oh, they told me I had gallstones." And
Mm.
and it ends up they gave her something for acid reflux. And I said, "Well, why didn't you call me?" And she says, "I didn't think you could help." I said, "Well, you do know that I was working with somebody from Florida and did like 2 or 3 sessions, and the doctors, when they did an ultrasound, couldn't find the stones anymore."
Hmm.
Oh, I didn't remember that. I said, "Yeah." I said, so I did a session for her. Um, and I said, because I don't want you on this Prilosec for more than 6 weeks because people put them on it forever.
Yeah.
And she no, she says I'm gonna get off of it in a month. My doctor said I can do that. I said okay, but she hasn't had any symptoms right now.
Mm.
But
That's great.
does she say, "Oh, Bonnie did that," or "Oh, I've been eating really good"? It just makes me laugh.
Yeah, and that's the funny
And
thing
she says,
is,
"How will I know if they're gone?" I go, "Well, you can go back and get tested again." She says, "I don't want to do that." Then
yeah.
don't.
And that's the thing in our own lives and in the lives of people around us, we have seen the irrefutable proof that
Mm-hmm.
it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no questioning that evidence of the before and after and the results.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you keep records? Do you have a record of when I came to you and and I would know if everything's gone? Because I do,
I
I'm
do.
going,
I do. It's behind the curtain.
because I go back
You
in
don't
my
want me. You don't want me to open that right now.
don't know I my if I go back in my recollection, I have to tell you that I had some issues that are gone now. And I do
Let's see if I'm gonna make a mess.
Long as
I got
Bonnie doesn't get
some
covered in
here,
a
but I
pile
she's
of stuff or
awesome.
anything.
I love Bonnie. I do. And she's like Bonnie, you know what she does? If I text her, just call
I
me.
need my glasses.
Just call me. And it's not like she's never off-putting. She's just so lovely. Like a really good soul.
So, Mary Amy, talk a little bit about your experience with ivermectin. What were you dealing with prior to
Oh,
taking the ivermectin to after?
my puppy dog had parasites, and I saw where they went in. And we thought she broke her leg, but it turned out she had bone cancer on her
You were
hip.
here October 11th of 24.
Okay, there you go.
And you felt like you were dealing with some of your
And
own
so
parasitic
then what
symptoms,
happened
or
was was exposed to her, and
mm,
I gave her the ivermectin, just like a little of the paste. I just wiped it and put it on a pill popper, and I saw these parasites come out of her. Oh my God, it was horrifying. All different sizes, starting within 48 hours. And every day, every time she went to the bathroom, they came out. There was multiple.
Yeah.
And um, And then I gave it to her a second time, I guess it was 10 or 12 days later. And then I took it. I was scared. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. And I took it. I took a little piece of it. I know she's laughing at me because this is all new to me. You know,
I know.
I'm brainwashed. And it definitely, I felt like this, when you go to get morphine, that burning feeling, I felt like, oh, the bottom of my feet, it definitely had effect. Initially, you don't drive. And I felt as though it cleared out my whole entire system, 100 million%.
Yeah.
And, and
Remember, Michael, that she's a little tiny thing. So
Yes. Yes.
a little tiny, even a little small amount will affect her more than it'll affect you and me.
Yeah.
so
And
I stand by it.
mhm.
And I didn't see any parasites come out of me, but it definitely was good for me to take this. Now,
Yeah, you had UTIs and some kidney stones and a TBI.
I had a lot of kidney stones. I mean, I was passing sometimes, I don't know, anywhere between 4 and 6 a year
Mm.
before I
Wow.
went to Bonnie, and I haven't
Mm.
passed any since then.
And
Good.
think about how many households have pets, whether it's a dog or cat, and lots of households have
But
exotic
also,
animals,
but
snakes,
also I can
lizards.
tell you that
Hmm.
minimum of 50% of people that have animals that have had the rabies shot, they also have rabies.
Wow. Mm.
And so I clear rabies all the time in
Mm.
people. And you know, the
Were
C
were people
that
dealing with certain symptoms like that and they cleared? Were there certain?
I have a list. It's called common pathogens, and I
Mm.
test for bacterias and viruses and molds
Oh,
and
so you saw it showing up in the testing?
I'm testing with their
Wow.
feet or with my pendulum, and
Mm.
I have specific magnet pairs that I use for those things. And you know the jab. I don't want to say the word.
Mm.
We cleared that for Amy, Mary.
Mary.
Mm.
Um, and I had found rabies in her.
Wow. Mm.
Yeah.
And Maryam, so you felt pretty significant improvement. Like how long after you did the clearing with Bonnie?
With the button,
She
with the
she
mag.
gets she got she got really sick that week for two
I did.
days.
I got
Yeah.
very, very sick after, and that's
So you were detoxing, like your
yes,
whole
I
body
got
was detoxing everything.
really sick.
Mm.
Really
Really, really. I got
toxic.
dizzy, but then I was very, very sick after, which has happened to me in the past when I had some some sessions of acupuncture in the past, multiple.
But then you were great afterwards. It was
Oh
like
no, it was great. I mean,
a day or two
honestly,
afterwards. Yeah.
I feel like what's so strange is I'm looking back at everything and I realize that I have some things that have changed within me, and I believe that the magnets help.
And she
Like
only did one session.
my memory,
Wow.
just something's, it's definitely different. I have more alignment, but physically I'm better. I know I'm physically better and stronger.
Mm.
And it let go of some, I guess, some ailments that I had that was blocking me from my health. And it was getting in the way. So I recommend it. I recommend
You need another session, ma'am.
me. I'm saying yes to
Ready
that.
for that follow up? Ready for
I
that follow
will.
up? I'm ready for my initial one, just to do a clearing, and.
Do it remote.
Yeah,
I do it all day long.
absolutely.
In fact, I have a client of mine that she's got some major things, major respiratory stuff, and she gets these immunoglobulins every couple of weeks from the hospital. So she's reinfecting herself every few weeks.
Mm.
And I gotta work on her tomorrow because she's leaving on Friday for a trip and she wants to feel better those few weeks.
Mm. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, have you found certain people in certain environments are just picking up residuals? If I have a big furry dog jump in front of me, he's kind of running into the room, so don't mind my dog if he jumps in the picture.
I don't care. I
But
like
like
dogs.
I've had some clients that it's weird. Like in their reading, I would pick up on different aspects of their health.
Mhm.
And what was interesting, one lady had a blood fusion like 2 months prior, and I had picked up some really weird stuff and some stuff on an energetic level, and it's almost like she absorbed stuff that was going on with the blood donor that she had received the blood from, and different things that had never happened prior, and then all of a sudden after, weird things cropping
Well,
up. Have you seen stuff like that?
we pick it up. So there's a guy who's also a practitioner, but he doesn't really practice. I think he's going to law school. And a couple of years ago, he calls me up and he says, "Can I come up and get a session done now?" I'm like, "Yeah, come on up. What's going on?" He said, "I'll talk to you when you get here." He gets here and I go, "What's going on?" He's a 22-year-old male. And he says, Bonnie, he says, "My testicles hurt." And I just looked at him and I go, "You have too much sex or too little sex?" He looked at me and says, "Nothing to do with that." I go, "You're 22 years old. You're way younger than my kids are." And he, I said, "Just get on the table. Let's see." And I'm working on him. And I said to him, "I got your answer." He's like, "What happened?" I said, "You were walking in a supermarket and you went past a kid that just had her MMR shot. Or,
Mm,
you know, and you picked up the mumps.
wow.
And we're going to clear it right now." Now, he probably wouldn't have realized it if he was working on somebody because he doesn't have kids and doesn't know about these things.
Mm.
And I do the mumps pairs, and 45 minutes later, he got off the table with no pain, never came back.
Oh, wow, that's excellent.
And it's very cool, but it's sometimes it's what the practitioner has just knowledge of
Yeah.
stuff. And I might have picked it up anyway and just done it just because I was doing muscle testing on him, but I wouldn't have necessarily realized because it's all about shedding
Mm.
all this stuff that, whether your animal gets these vaccinations or somebody walking on the street does, you're picking up molecules of it and it's affecting
Yeah,
your
I
body.
think I think that's what everyone needs to understand. The environments that we're in, the people we're in contact with. Everyone is breathing the air. We're all recycling this oxygen, and we're all putting out and we're all taking in. So I think we need to be really aware of the situations, the people, the environments, and everything we're being exposed to. Some people don't think about that going into the grocery store, and I think we'll, if someone's coughing or spewing germs, oh, everyone wants to kind of run the other way, but we're not thinking
No,
about other. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but just breathe it out and just imagine it's gone.
Yeah.
Don't make yourself crazy about other people and don't wear a mask because mask is worse than anybody else's germs.
Yeah, I know, and it's just crazy, the hype, and I think the brainwashing that we saw, sensationalized through everything. So I think we need to be aware of it. But like I said, when I was in large groups and I noticed I was getting some sore throats and I was feeling a little off, then it started taking the oregano, and the oregano seemed to quell whatever was going
Or just
on.
take a little bit of ivermectin once a week.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny because after Mary Amy had spoke about the ivermectin, I told her my story. I same thing, and we had spoke about that earlier. I took the ivermectin, and literally the clearing that I felt. Now, whether I had underlying parasites or virus or whatever it may have been, yeah, I absolutely felt a difference. An amazingly positive shift in my overall, like my mental clarity, my focus, my overall health. I felt more vibrant. I was waking up feeling, more energized. So it
Mhm.
absolutely did something.
Yeah, it's just amazing some of the little tiny things that we can do to detox our body.
And I think the one thing people need to realize, anyone that's listening to this show too, is if you're getting all your information from mainstream news, mainstream media, you got to understand there's so much propaganda, there's so much just nonsense information out there. You really have to sift through it to find the truth. So look for the alternative practitioners like Bonnie, listen to the podcast like Two Psychics. Find the alternative sources of information, and then look at several different aspects of it and see what resonates with you, see who resonates with you. But don't listen to the mainstream media as your only source of information, because
Don't
you're
don't
going to
look
just be spoon fed lies. And that's the reality of it.
and don't use Dr. Google.
Yeah. Well, everyone will look Dr. Google up and have every single one of those symptoms and think that, oh my Lord, I'm dying because I have all those symptoms. They don't understand that,
And they don't
those
necessarily
symptoms.
know that those symptoms are caused by pathogen in the body.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not a whole pathogen. Maybe it's a piece of it that you picked up walking anywhere.
Yeah.
Going on a train, going on a bus, talking to your husband or wife. You don't know everybody, it's just stuff. We
Yeah.
live in a world that's filled with.
Yeah, well, that's why I love the story about your client, and in some type of retail store, and could have come in contact with a small child that just had that shot or that vaccination, that he the measles, the mump, was exposed to that, and that was the underlying cause. And I think that's stuff that doesn't even come into people's awareness. But if we can kind of shift our perception and look at things maybe a little more abstractly, and not so brainwashed into thinking it's X, Y, or Z and this is all it could be, people will start getting to the root of the problem and start healing.
Right. And sometimes it's about stopping sugar. Maybe
Yeah.
some people it's about that they can't have dairy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or that they're eating meat that's not free range, it's given, the animals are given vaccinations, medications, everything, and given stuff to make them fatter, but it's not healthy meat. And it could be
Yeah.
something like that. There's a lot, there's a ton of stuff, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, that was one thing I had experienced. There was a point where I was eating a lot of seafood, and I found I was starting to get I was starting to get, like a little redness and rash, irritation, some rosacea.
Mhm.
And what started coming to me was mercury. I have sometimes as a medium, it's hard for us to sift through the emotions and take our own guidance. But in
I
that,
know.
mercury poisoning kept coming to me, and sure enough, I did a cleanse. I cut back significantly on the seafood that could potentially be very high in mercury, and it
Mhm.
all went away.
Yeah.
So it's
So
interesting.
it's always harder to help yourself or to
And
diagnose yourself.
yeah, but I think that's one thing, is a lot of people disregard that intuitive connection that they have, and they rule it out as coincidence, or, oh, that I'm just being paranoid, or, oh, I don't know why that's coming to me, I shouldn't listen to it. I would say to anyone out there, if you're intuitively opening to some piece of information, your body is telling you something, your body is
It,
tuning you in and
it
talking.
is. It's like when I
Yeah.
fell last March when I was in Florida and I hurt my ankle and my wrist. But I thought originally it was just, my palms and my knees like a little kid. And my husband kept saying to me, "Do you need to go to urgent care and get an x-ray?" And I said, "No, it's nothing's broken. It's sprained and it's gonna hurt for a long time." But
Mm,
I don't, and then when I actually got nervous with this hand because I literally couldn't lift anything. And I went to the doctor, even though my gut said don't do that, but I went and I said, "Do I need an x-ray?" He looked at me, he says, "You have nothing broken. It's just going to take a long time." I said, "Well, it'll take less time because I'm doing my stuff." And it was just confirmation. He gave me a
yeah.
script. He just said, "I'm going to give you a script. If it's not significantly better in a few weeks, go get an X-ray."
Yeah, that's what everyone out there needs to understand
Like
is,
be judged, right?
your intuition is your most powerful sense. But a lot of times we want to rule it out with other things.
Yeah, I know. Because sometimes your brain goes back to saying, "Oh, I gotta go."
Yeah.
And
What?
I was doing herbs and it's still not 100%, but it's much
Mm.
better.
Bonnie, can you tell our audience, our listeners,
Yeah.
about what you offer and about your website, bonniesherbals.com?
Mm-hmm. It's bonniesherbals.com. And if you just want to see the magnet stuff, you can go to bonniesherbals.com/magnets. Because for some people, they're like, especially if you're on a phone, it doesn't say it right in front of it. You have to go on those stupid three lines and then you'll see where it says it. Um, so I'm an herbalist. I do herbal consults. Sometimes when I'm doing a biomag session, I'll recommend herbals. Depending on what the person is, if they have high fever, I'll just do a remote session because they don't want to go anywhere, and I don't really want them next to me. But I'll have them next to me because I don't worry about it. I surround myself with bright light to keep my stuff in and their stuff out, like I'm sure you guys do too.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Bonnie, you're located in New York. Is it
I'm
if
in New
someone
York.
wanted
I'm in Briarcliff, so I do sessions here, and then I do virtual sessions anywhere in the world.
excellent.
I
So no matter where anyone is listening to us from today, they will have no problem getting a session with you.
No, not at all. I mean,
Excellent.
I'd love to be able to say I have a waiting list, but I don't yet. Um, and yeah, I I I talk to them or we email and I send them a questionnaire and they fill it out. And then if it's a virtual session, I'll just say I'm gonna do it. If I have any questions, I'll let you know. I'm not gonna tell you exactly when I'm gonna do it, but I will send you pictures of my mannequin. Um, so let's see if I can. Well, yeah, actually, I can do it. Well, this is my mannequin. Well, it's gonna put it back here so you can see. It's got, whoa, I'm taking it. Hold off. And you can see this person I was dealing with back stuff and kidney stuff. Um, so I'll take a picture of the mannequin, um, like I have here. I keep putting my glasses down, I can't see.
I'm glad you didn't start off the session with that, though. That would have freaked me out a little bit, thinking I'm seeing spirit around you or something. It
No,
almost looks like you have a shadow figure in the.
and
I'm busting. I'm
the
busting.
only reason why it's
But
black is because I painted it with magnetic paint so I can just put the
that is
magnets
that
on
is
it.
that is so cool. Now, if someone is scheduling a session with you, how long should they expect the session to last, or does it vary on the client, or is there like a set time that you do the
They
session in?
usually they last anywhere between 1 and 2 hours, but they don't need to be doing. They can be doing their own thing. Once I have their information, I'm just it's like you don't necessarily have to have them on the other end of the phone or on a Zoom call when you're working on them because
Mm,
you're connecting with their energy.
yeah,
So like see like this is a picture of the mannequin. This is one of
yeah,
my
yeah.
clients, and I send them those pictures as soon as I finish, so they know what it is.
That's pretty wild. So it's coated with magnetic paint, and then you can stick the magnets on it, and that.
Much better than using masking tape.
Yeah, yeah.
When I work on
That's
somebody, I
interesting.
take all the things off, and I got to take 20 minutes to take all the tape off of it to put it back on my boards.
Oh, that's very interesting. Very cool. So you're actually taping the magnets on people, and they're kind of
Masking tape, yeah. I
wow.
mean, when they're under their back, I can just slide them under, but otherwise, I have to put them on with masking tape. That's the one thing I tell people, and this client who comes to me every month, she always forgets. I tell them, don't put makeup on because she puts stuff on the face and it doesn't stick.
And if they're loud and obnoxious, you could just slap a piece of tape over their mouth. And, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
No, but I usually put an iPad
kidding.
over a tissue on their eyes so that I can put magnets on here and they don't have to look at the lights on the ceiling.
Wow. Now, I know we're kind of winding things down, but I just want to talk a little really quick about magnets and arthritis. What is it? Because I hear lots of people talking about
But
positive.
what you hearing is you're hearing them put on magnetic bracelets
Hmm,
or like a Niken magnetic bed. That's different than biomagnetism. That's they're using a magnet.
okay.
They're using a magnet, and everything I do is in pairs. So there's a
Hmm.
negative and a positive to be balancing the pH in the body.
Okay, so when they're just putting a magnet bracelet on, they're really not getting that
They
benefit
are.
to.
It's different. It's just different.
Okay.
I can't say that just plain magnets don't work. People swear by these copper bracelets.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it's different. It's more about moving pathogens. Regular magnets aren't moving pathogens.
Okay. Okay. So that's one of the biggest variables is looking at that root pathogen
Hmm.
cause and having that release from the body.
Right, and it's not only pathogens.
Mm,
It could be injuries, it could be
yeah.
trauma. I do trauma stuff all the time. Like with teeth.
Yeah.
Um, People have, and I've had it before, like I go to sleep and I'm like, oh no, I have a cavity. Oh no.
Mm,
And I put trauma magnets on, and I'm putting them on the red magnet on it, and then I'm asking what trauma level it is, 1 through 6. If it's just 1, then I'm putting it on one magnet here and one on the bladder, so I can be moving stuff
Mm.
out. Otherwise, number 3 is bladder, right kidney, left kidney, and then going up to 6, it might be the inguinal nerves, which are like.
It's interesting. You may have intuitively picked up on the tooth thing. I recently had a tooth injury that I'm dealing with, so you might have to hook me up with some magnetic healing on
We can do
that.
that. We can do that. And then so I do it on teeth, and usually I'll put them on, and I haven't had to, let's go knock on wood.
Mm,
I I'm good. My husband, I had a tooth removed a couple weeks ago, and I was doing a lot of magnets on him.
mm, that's excellent.
He cracked a tooth, and he went to the doctor to fix it, and he says, "That's the one we were talking about pulling, so we're gonna pull it right now."
Oh, okay. Mm. That's what I'm trying. I'm in the process of hopefully trying to avoid that, but I don't know what path it's going to take. So I'll be reaching out for some magnetic healing.
Sounds good.
So again, Bonnie, if you can just share with all our listeners, the best way to get in touch with you is,
You can
well,
email me at bonnie@bonniesherbals.com. You could just go on bonniesherbals.com and click on contact me or whatever, and the website will send me an email.
excellent.
Or you can text me or call me. My cell phone is 914-522-4221.
Awesome. So you guys have the hotline to Bonnie and bonniesherbals.com.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Bonnie. We really appreciate you kind of talking about this, opening people up to it, and letting people see that this isn't some woo-woo, underground thing. This is really a prevalent form of healing now, and I think lots of people, are becoming open to this. So I appreciate you being able to
No,
come
and
and give us so much
yeah,
information.
and it's just being open to the possibility that there's another path to wellness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whether it's magnets, whether it's herbal medicine, coming up with, tinctures that are just for that person, not necessarily, I'm going to give you echinacea. I may give you echinacea with other things. I have a Mary, you saw my my closets of
Yeah.
herbs. Um,
Wall.
I have a whole wall
A
of dry
wall
herbs.
of
Well,
I
nice.
have closets of tinctures, and yeah, it's good.
it's a good space. It feels like I'm walking into something that will help me,
Mm.
just naturally help me. I love Bonnie.
You could just
Bonnie's
feel the
awesome.
healing
I
energy.
swear by Bonnie.
Well, there is, and I have um stones. What are they called? What's the stones you use for clearing? Anyway, they gridded my wall. I have them.
Oh, okay.
I have hearts in the corners. I have them.
Rose quartz.
No, it's not rose quartz. Selenium. Not
Oh,
selenium.
yeah, yeah. Selenium is a good
It's
one.
not
Yes.
selenium. It's not selenium. Right here.
She's awesome. She's real.
Yeah.
So
That mannequin was very interesting.
and she helps you. She wants
I
to
hope
help
to.
you. You want to help and heal.
Okay.
So,
These.
Is
What?
it quartz?
No, it's not quartz, and I can't think of the name of it right now. It's just gone. So I have them gridded. I have all four sides of the wall. I have this on it. Actually, I have two of them. I have them like this,
Wow.
and then I have the ones that look like this, the hearts, and I have each corner goes right in the corner,
hmm.
and I have that in this office here, and then across the hall, which is where my table is.
Well, and that's not selenium. It looks like selenium,
It
but
might
it's,
be.
yeah.
It might
Hmm.
be. You can put your crystals on top of it and it will clear them.
Yeah. Very cool. See, my favorite one, I like my quartz and my amethyst. But I do believe you're using selenium there too, because I have some of
Yeah,
that.
this is a rose quartz.
Yeah, yeah, rose quartz is a good one. One of the most interesting stones, which is not necessarily an earth crystal, but moldavite. We're talking about pieces of
I have
asteroids.
this necklace is I mean, this is a Lemurian quartz, but I also have a beautiful piece of moldavite that I wear here.
The bite can be really intense,
I
really,
have
really
I've had
intense.
people at herb conferences come across the hall to me and they go, "How do you wear that?" I go,
Yeah.
"Oh," they go, it's sending me back into space. I go, "It's really grounding for me." So remember that moldavite is meteor stone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it can either send you out here or it can ground you. And for me,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
grounding.
Yeah. Very cool. So that'll be our topic for another show.
Is what
But no, very, very cool. So anyone out there listening, uh, bonniesherbals.com. You'd have to rewind the show and you can hear Bonnie's phone number. Give her a direct call if you want to set up a session in person or remotely. But Bonnie, we really appreciate you kind of having this open discussion with us, talking about all these different aspects of herbs and magnetism. Very interesting, very, very interesting stuff.
I love it. It's fun. And it started out where I started doing it just for my family. And I started working with friends and now people find me and that's a good thing.
Absolutely. So thankful for you being here with us.
Thank you so
Uh,
much.
yes. Any closing words, Mary Amy?
Thank you. I have so
Yeah.
much gratitude for you, Bonnie. We
Well,
have to get together soon.
you need to come up.
Yes, I will.
We'll do a session on you and we'll sit in the pool.
Okay, I'll do that.
This time of year, the pool is a very good place, right?
It's got to be 86, 87 degrees right now. It's crazy.
Nice. And then you don't have to worry about getting eaten by a shark or anything.
I
Oh,
love that.
but I love the ocean.
The ocean is good. The energy off the ocean. I was near the ocean last night, and oh, I just love it. I love being down the shore. I love the water. But again, Bonnie, thank you
Thank you
so
so
much for
much,
being here,
Bonnie.
part of Two Psychics podcast. We really appreciate you. Really appreciate you
Thank you.
talking about these alternative treatments and healing. Anyone out there, you want to check out more of Bonnie and what she's doing, bonniesherbals.com. But thank you so much, Bonnie.
Thanks, guys. Have a
We,
great
we
rest
will
of your
see you
evening.
soon.
All
Sounds
right,
good.
be well. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye. That was good.
Yeah, we were going for a while. I just feel
Conversation.
like we just kept talking and
You
talking
had
and
a
more
lot of
flow
questions,
and
and I just
yeah.
waited. And I said, let him go at it because I've spoken to her and you haven't met her. I would recommend doing the magnet. I think maybe I'll go for another session because that was October.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting that she started talking about healing teeth. That's what I said. Maybe she was intuitively picking up on me injuring a tooth recently and still trying to figure out what way I'm going with it. And it's interesting. So, but
She is
yeah, I
intuitive. She is intuitive. She doesn't realize how intuitive she is, but to ask the body questions and then come back where she's
yeah,
hearing.
you're definitely tuning into that intuitive guidance. Absolutely. I think anyone that's doing this work is absolutely utilizing vast amounts of their intuition, even if they realize it or not. She absolutely is.
So I just want to just share with everyone what we have upcoming. We have many guests. I'm just going to skim really quick. Next week we have Dana Louise, who is an experiencer abductee, and she's an author. And then at the end of the month, we have the Edge magazine editor, Kelly Wagner. And then the first week of August, we are on their show, a live show called Being Curious. You can catch me on a podcast that I just did, and it's called Flying Chariots: The Rise, and that should be up in the next 24 hours. And we have a Palladian channel we're going to squeeze in sometime at the end of the month. There's many more. But if you go to our page on Facebook,
Two Psychics
Psychics
podcast.
Podcast, you can see everything because I post it, or you can go to Eye of the Spirits with Michael Edley, Eye of the Spirits, or Mary Amy. I'm the only Mary Amy, just so you know. That's the official Mary Amy. And you can find out all of our info and you can friend us or you can like our page. And if you'd like to get some merchandise, I'm going to be doing more merchandise. You can go to Spread Shop I do have an Etsy page now, Mary Amy Official, and you can see my artwork. It's on totes, t-shirts, phone covers, and every day I'm posting more and more. And
Nice.
if you'd like a reading by Michael, if you want to get on his waiting list, you can contact him at eyeofthespirits.com, maryamyofficial.com if you'd like a reading from me. We just got invited to something in Pelham if we want to do readings at this event and speak. I sent you an email. It was the Manor Club. I don't know if you can come up for that. And we have some
Haven't
other
had a chance to look at any emails. So yeah, anyone that's emailed me, I have not seen any emails for several days. Unfortunately, I've been going, but
That's right.
I will
You've been
definitely check
working.
that out. But yes, anyone that wants to check us out on Facebook, Two Psychics Podcast, Eye of the Spirits with Michael Edley on Facebook, Mary Amy on Facebook. Definitely check our stuff out. We'd really appreciate it if you like and follow. And we can't wait until the next episode. So hopefully tune in again to Two Psychics Podcast.
Episode 59. Everyone be
Woo.
Michael, call me because I have to talk to you. Okay, bye.